So hey friends, Ken here, your paper alchemist, and today we are tackling video 2 of our two-part video series on creating a super easy junk journal. Now, during the first video, which was about 2 weeks ago, I showed you guys how to walk through creating one of the easiest forms of junk journals that I know. We went through the creation process from beginning to end. And in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through decorating, or should I say designing, a few of the pages inside the junk journal, just to give you a good general idea of directions you can take when it comes to creating and decorating your own. So starting off, I just simply took a sticker and put it inside the stenciling that we did on the very front inside cover of the journal, which was super easy. Most of the decoration there was already just a stenciling. And I just took a circle sticker and cut off the white part. The thing that I did like about that sticker is that it had all of the zodiac signs on it, so it sort of went with the whole moon image that was on the cover. So then, of course, I flipped the page to start designing the next spread. And this one I decided I would just do all together, both sides. So for the left side, what I decided to do was to grab a sticker frame that I have. Now I'm going to lay that sticker frame down, try to get it centered up in the middle of the page. Now here's a really quick tip. You'll notice that with the sticker, I only peeled back a little bit of the backing paper, and then I cut that off. Position my sticker, make sure to stick down the part that is exposed, and then take time to remove the rest of it. What this does is help you put the sticker in place, not have to pick it up, remove it, reposition it, and it helps keep the sticky. That way you won't have to add any extra glue to it. I rumbled through some ephemera and I found a really cute little record sign. It was in black and white. I forget exactly what it was showing. I think it's showing like the image of a vintage record player. And it says like make records at the top. And I decided that I would put that inside the frame since it seemed to fit perfectly in there. And I was able to position all of the wording inside the opening of the framed sticker. So I put a little glue on the back of that piece of ephemera, make sure it was centered up in the middle of that frame, and then just remove the rest of the backing paper from the sticker and made sure that it was stuck down really good. Now, opposite that, on the other page, I decided, hey, this would be a really great place to put some writing room. So basically, I just took a piece of lined paper that actually came out of this initial journal, backed it onto a piece of cardstock or chipboard or whatever you have available to you. I cut off some black cardstock and used it to frame in that line ruled paper. I then threw some glue on the back of that and adhered it down to the right side of the book. Now I'm just kind of auditioning some stickers to go at the top. I wanted to add a little bit more pizzazz to the actual embellishment that was being put on this page. So I found a sticker that I was happy with, and it happened to be of a old vintage sort of sewing, sort of looks like one of the ladies from the McCall patterns or the Simplicity patterns or the Vogue patterns that maybe your grandmother or your mother used to sew from back in the day. Really cool. So I threw some glue on the back of that and adhered it down to the right end bottom corner of that, and then I went back to figuring out what I wanted to put across the top, which eventually I settled on a Leonardo da Vinci sticker, which I thought was really cool, and I felt like that added enough to that spread. Keep in mind that as we go through this, we're kind of designing this, or I'm giving you ideas that you can run with simply based on simplicity. That way you can kind of design a junk journal and get it embellished to go, with just enough in it to get a person started. So the pages aren't super elaborate, but I do feel like, you know, that they're all going to be really cohesive, the ones that I show you anyway, and that they're a great starting point for you to just run off into the ether with your own ideas. I also add, of course, that this is narrated, and I did speed it up just a little bit because it took me quite a bit of time in order to design all of the pages. I would have loved to have done it real time, but there was just so much going on at my household at the time that this was the best format to put this particular video in. Now, this particular spread that I'm working on at the moment is basically just like blank writing area. Now, I am going out of my way to make sure that I don't take away from all of the writing area that is in this book, which is why I'm using mainly stickers and stamps and stencils in order to do the preliminary decorating. Now, on this spread, it's simple. I'm just using a stencil. I have this stencil of, I forget exactly what type of little flower this is called, but on the right side, I use the entire stencil, and on the left side, I flip the stencil upside down, or should I say over, so that the flowers would be facing in towards each other, and just put the smallest flower on the left side. Then just using some of that same ink, I inked a line across the top to give it a little grunginess, a little vintage feeling, and I feel like it worked out really well, and I'm going to leave that just like that, again, because I'm not trying to take away from a lot of the writing room. Whoever ends up with this journal at this point will be able to do whatever they want to in order to add their own personal embellishments to it. But from the very start, I try to keep it as simple as possible, but make it look really good. Now, as I flip the page to start working on the next spread, I just grabbed a different stencil. This time I'm using just a normal circle stencil. And I'm going to do this entire spread, both the left and right side, basically at the same time. So what you see happening here is me using that stencil to hit and miss, putting down little speckles of spots and circles here and there. I'm not worried about my inking level being even. If some of the circles are light and some of them are super dark, I feel like it's just going to add more to the overall aesthetic. Keeping in mind that once this journal is done, although primarily it's centered around the black and white theme, it's going to have like browns and grays and pops of color here and there throughout the entire journal. And I think that is going to make it all really cohesive. So I am just moving a backing paper, and I did that to kind of protect my desk and anything that might be under the page that I'm stenciling. And I'm using my brown ink. And I didn't tell you guys before, I'm sorry, but the ink that I'm using is Ranger's archival ink. I do believe antique brown might be the name of the color. I'm not exact. Maybe it's coffee brown, but it's one of the darker brown colors. And as you can see, that stencil worked out really well, just adding pizzazz all over this spread. So I took an offcut of pattern paper that I had thrown over inside my scrap box, and I just used it to make two folder style pockets to go on both the left and the right side. So basically I cut out a triangle, not a triangle, a rectangle that would fit across the bottom of each page. And then I took a pair of scissors and just cut a slant. So that it would look like, the folders that you have on the inside of a school folder, or maybe a trapper keeper. Trapper Keeper. I don't know how many people remember Trapper Keepers. Might be giving away my age at this point for real, but I just felt like it added a lot of pizzazz. Then I grabbed some stickers and added a little circle sticker to the right hand bottom corner of the one on the right side and the left hand bottom corner of the one on the left side. And just taking a look back, looking at the things that I've done, making sure that they're cohesive, that they work together, and that they go together. And I'm flipping the page to start working on the next spread. So as you can see by this point, nothing is extremely elaborate. Everything is really straightforward, but I think it's cute. And everything is kind of adding to the overall sort of antique, old style feel of this journal. I want whoever purchase it or receives it as a gift that uses it to really feel like they have something special. So for this spread, I'm keeping it really simple. I grabbed a sort of circle flower stamp that I have. I think I picked this stamp up from Michael's. I'm not exactly sure. And basically, I covered it with black ink. Now, the black ink that I'm using is the same. It is Ranger's Archival ink, and it's in the color of jet black. Now, you'll notice I don't have the best of stamping impressions with the stamp that I put on the left side, which is perfectly fine with me. I don't need things to be perfect, and I felt like it was great for the overall aesthetic that I was going for. After I stamped it on the left side, I also stamped it on the right side, and now I'm using clear sort of forest inspired stickers to put down, because again, I want it to look like as much writing space is available. So I put some trees on the left side, and then I decided to put a mountain in the circle on the right side. And then the right side is that splattered paper. It's like white regular paper splattered with black watercolor and yellow watercolor, and I just think it's so fun and so cool. Then I grabbed a edging stamp, or a corner stamp, if that's what you want to call it, off of the same pad that had the circle stamp that I used, and just stamp something in the top right hand corner and bottom left hand corner of that spread, just to kind of add some balance and symmetry to the whole thing. And then I moved on, because I felt like those was enough elements on that page to not take away from too much of the writing, but to give whoever ends up owning it room to build. And then I turn the page to keep designing. Now, on the back of that splatter page, I really just cut out this building from like a piece of pattern paper that I had and turned it into a pocket. That's how simple that was. And you'll get to see that a little bit better in just a moment when I kind of go back through it. And I decided to keep moving. Now, the next page I come up on is like a little short page, which has coffee stenciling on it, where I basically took a stencil and did coffee dyeing and staining through that stencil. And I love the fact that it's like midway of the paper and not a complete page. And I just decided I'll hold off on adding any decoration on that side, and I would move over to the right side of this spread and start working on something to put on the black cardstock page. Now, for this page, I could have left it completely blank and encouraged whoever owns or ends up owning this to use like a white gel pen or maybe colored gel pens to write on it. I decided, though, I would make this a little special and take this a little far. So the very first thing I did was grab a piece of black and white and gray checkerboard pattern paper, folded it as a trifold, and then cut it down to fit the length of the book, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, what you see me doing here is kind of auditioning some stickers to go on the front to see exactly what direction I want to go in with that. I wasn't really sure, so I'm just kind of going back and forth with different stickers here and there. And then when I found something that I felt like, okay, this might work, but let me jump over here to this other page. I'm going to stamp down some script that's kind of nondescript script, nondescript script, just to add a little pizzazz to that coffee stencil page, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else over there. Now, like I said, let's decorate the inside of this little trifold that we're going to be adding to the right side on top of the black cardstock page. So here I grabbed another stencil. I'm using that same brown Ranger's ink, and I'm going through and I am adding bits and pieces of that stencil all over the inside. Now, this is meant to be a trifold that folds out from the black cardstock page, giving you plenty of room to write or draw or sketch, whatever. I'm only putting down the stenciling so that there'll be a little background decoration. But have you noticed that throughout this, I'm not using colors that are really dark and really harsh? I'm using colors that if you decide to write over that stenciling, you can do it and it won't present any problems, especially if you're using a black pen. Now, I just threw some offcuts. Do you remember when we did the little folder pockets a couple of spreads back, and I told you I took a rectangle and cut it at an angle? I'm using those two angle offcuts in order to kind of make a little border in the middle of that trifold. And to the very right side, I just threw down another sticker. Doing the front, We're moving on to putting down another sticker. I'm going to put down a clear frame, and on that clear frame I'm going to use a sticker of another antique vintage lady, putting it on exactly the same way that I encourage you guys to put the stickers on earlier. And that is going to pretty much do it for the little trifold. See how simple that was and how easy it was to decorate? But watch the type of pizzazz it's going to add to the overall project. Now what I'm going to do is find where I'm going to adhere it down, flip it over, throw some glue on the back. Now if you guys are using glue, keep in mind that I use a silicone quick drying glue that will not warp the paper. But if you end up using a water-based glue like your white PVA glues or your school glue, always remember you want to put it under something heavy, give it time to dry because it will wrinkle paper, and that drying time under something heavy will not only dry it but help flatten it out as well if you use a water-based wet glue. So I'm just going to adhere this down, make sure that I get it stuck down really, really good. So I'll rub over it a few times on the front. Then I'm going to flip the page to start working on the next spread. But I will rub my hand over the back of that quite a few times just to make sure that addition on the front is stuck down really, really well. And I really love the way that that came out. Quick flip back to see where we are so far. Not too bad. And I think this is the last page that I'm going to design in this particular video. Again, we're working on the back of that black cardstock page, so I threw down a sticker. That simple. I threw a sticker in the lower left corner. I put another sticker that sort of matches the overall theme of the journal at the top center, and I'm going to call that a day. And I actually am leaving that page so they can use white on it or colored gel pens. And that, my friends, is going to kind of wrap up our little adventure for today. I hope that you picked up on an idea throughout this that you found helpful and that is going to help you expand upon and maybe build your next junk journal. Don't forget that both videos work together, and I hope that they give you plenty of inspiration. Drop a thumbs up if you found anything that you liked throughout the course of this video. Don't forget to drop a comment to let me know what you thought of everything. Did you watch both videos? How did you feel about them? Yeah, I would love to know. You can check the video description for any relevant links that might be needed for this video. And you're going to find the link for the first video down there as well. And if you want to share, because sharing is caring. And remember, as I always tell you, just keep creating, my friends.